This conference will now be recorded.
A method is a programming block which contains a set of statements, programming statements. These statements are prepared to perform a specific task item. A method may return data, may not return data. A method may take input data, a method may not take input data. The methods are of two types, static methods and non-static methods. Okay, listen. Well, now, in order to conclude the purpose of methods, to demonstrate this, here I just opened a calculator application. I'll consider this calculator as one object. Can I call this calculator as an object? Yes. Calculator we can consider as one object. This object has multiple functions: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. Now I am creating a Java program to explain this object, calculator. So what is the name you suggest for the class? You ping me your answer. I'm creating a Java program to explain the functionalities of a calculator object. So what is the name you suggest for the class name? Cal. Any other name? Calculator. Okay. I given the name calculator. I'm talking about the class name. Class name, no static class name, no non-static class name. My class name is calculator here. Well, now here, what is the first function you want me to define here? I'm creating this program to explain the functions of a calculator. What is the first program you want me to define? What is the first method you want me to define? Addition. Correct. Addition. Instead of addition, addition will go. Addition will go. I can use the name sum. Sum also will go, right? Sum. Okay. So public non-static method, it is void the name of my function sum and the function block. Well, I'm creating this function to add two integer values. I'm creating this function two integers. So what are the input arguments you want me to define? It's require input arguments, right? Sum, okay. What to sum? While calling the function sum, we have to supply some input data. Here, I'm creating this function to sum two integers. Integer v1, value 1. Integer v2, value 2. Or ab, whatever it may be. Here I given instead of a and b, I given v1 and v2. Right. Now here, inside the function, I'm declaring the variables a, b, c. A equal to v1. The value we supply for v1 while calling the function sum, I am assigning to a variable a. V equal to v2, value 2. The c equal to this a plus b. Finally, I want to return sum of two given values, which is c here. C. Return c. Why it is showing an error here? You please observe this line number 13, showing error. Why it is showing an error? I put return C, it is showing error here. Now this function sum, returning sum of A and B, the return type is an integer, right? C is an integer here. C I am returning, which is an integer, but in the function I have used void. So if your function returning any data, in place of void, we must specify the return type, int. So here I created one function for summing of two values. Well, now I want to create one more function for subtracting two given values. Initially, I go with void. My function name subtract. Int value 1, int value 2. Well, int a comma b comma c. Here, sir, already I declared the variables abc inside the method one sum. Already I declared variable abc inside the method sum. Why I am defining once again here? A equal to that v1, b equal to v2, c equal to a minus b, return c. So return type also an integer again, int. My question, already I declared variable abc here. Why I am declaring the variables abc once again? Anybody? Someone answered local variables. Look at this one. Look at this one. Here, I'm declaring some variable x with some value. Where is this variable x is defined? Inside the method sum. If you define a variable inside a method, such variables are called local variables. Now here itself, I'm discussing scope of variables. What do you mean by scope of variables? If we declare a variable, inside a method, they are called local variables. These local variables are accessible only in that method. We cannot access them in other methods. We cannot access them in other methods. So maximum life of the variable is limited to the function where it was defined. They are called local variables. Here, based on the scope, variables can be defined as local variables. So what do you mean by local variables? A variable declared inside a method is called local variable. A variable declared inside a method is called local variable. These variables can be accessible only within that method. We cannot access them outside of the other methods. We cannot use them in the other methods. Such kind of variables are called local variables. In very simple words, method level variables are called local variables. Method level variables are called local variables. Method level meaning the variables declared inside the method. And we have another type of variable called global variables. What do you mean by global variables? If we declare a variable, I hope you understand. I hope you can easily guess it. If we declare a variable at class level, not inside the method, at class level, meaning inside the class but outside of the functions. Here, inside the class but outside of all the functions. Supposing this variable I'm declaring at class level, I can access the variable one moment. Sorry. Supposing here, wanted I'm giving my variable name like this. My variable name itself global variable. I can access the global variable inside the class sum. See, there is no error, nothing here. I can also access this variable inside the second method subtract. So here, this variable I declared inside the class but outside of the function, these variables I can access inside all the methods inside my class. So here I am able to access this variable inside the method one sum, also inside the method two subtract. Such kind of variables are called local variables. In very simple words, class level variables are called local variables. So if you declare a variable at class level, then these variables are called class level variables. These variables are accessible among all methods of the class. You can access this kind of variable among all methods present in the class. Such kind of variables are called global variables. Here just I introduced a very small concept. Based on the declaration, variables can be classified as local variables and global variables. In very simple words, method level variables are called local variables, class level variables are called global variables. If you define a variable inside a method, you cannot access them in the other methods, whereas if you define a variable at class level, you can access such variable among all methods inside the class. For example, in a testing point of view, I create multiple functions, but in all the functions, I want to access the URL of my application under test. I want to declare a variable to store the URL data. Definitely, I will declare at class level as global variable. Well. So here, sum is one function I have created. Subtract is another function I have created. Well, and do remember here itself, we should not write any code after the return statement. Just check out this one. I'm just printing something after the return statement. Statement after return. You please observe it is showing error line. See, there is no syntax mistake in my line. But only the thing is you have put this statement after the return statement. And do remember, return should be the last statement in your function. If a function really returning some data, after the return, there should not be any statements. Hence, it is showing an error here. See, coming to a function, purpose of creating a function to perform a particular task item. After achieving the task item, if you want to really return some data, return the data, finish. Return the data, done. After return, there should not be any code. See, if I move this statement before the return, it works. See, no error here now. When I move this statement after the return, it will show an error. So there should not be any code after the return statement. Not only this code, any kind of code. Say, for example, here, I'm declaring another temporary variable. Even this will also show an error because return should be the last statement in your function. Got it? Right. Just I'm giving some guidelines while creating the function. If a function returning any data, you must specify the return type. Return should be the last statement in your function. If you want to access some variable among multiple functions of a class, the variables must be declared at class level. Supposing here, I am declaring the variables at class level now, this A, B, and C. So now, I no need to define inside every method. Directly, I can make use of that variable. You please observe now. I was not declared ABC here. I was not declared ABC here. I declared ABC at class level. Class level variables you can access among all methods inside the class. Got it? Please do confirm till this point so that I'll proceed further. Till this point understood, do confirm. Okay, good. Now, here I have created two functions. One function name sum, other function name is subtract. These are static functions or non-static functions? Answer me. These are static functions or non-static functions? Non-static functions. We'll talk about in the next lesson, we talk about when to go for static, we discuss in detail. Okay, now here, once again, creating functions. You know, functions are nothing but methods. Once I'm repeating the syntax briefly, then I go for the syntax. So what is the syntax for creating a function? Public. Is public is mandatory or optional? So whatever we are learning, it plays a major role in developing our automation test cases. Optional, right? Then static. If you want to make your method as static method, then only we have to use the keyword static, otherwise not required. It is also optional. Right. I mean, what if I am not using public, what happened? See, if I am not using public keyword, what happened? See, previously, I can remove this public keyword here. Even I am removing the public keyword here. It works. Public is not mandated, it is optional. So now the calculator class available, I'll do one thing. The calculator class available inside the package one. This sum, this subtract, I can access in other classes of the same package. Supposing this is calculator test. Here, I can create an object for this calculator class. I'm creating an object for the calculator class. See, now I can access the function. What is the function? There's some function or subtract function I can access. Inside the second package here, by creating an object for this class, I cannot access them. If really you want to access the functions, these functions, sum and subtract, not only in the package one, among all packages inside your project, then only we have to go for the public. So mostly we go with public, so that we can able to access them in package one, in package two test cases, package three, we can access anywhere, wherever you wanted them. If you want to make the scope limited to the current package, you no need to use the keyword public. If you want to access the function among all packages inside the project, we must use the keyword public. Got it? Right. One moment. When to go for static, when to go for non-static, we'll discuss in detail. In detail, we'll discuss. If I want to make my method as a static method, I use the keyword static. Otherwise, I don't use this. Then, if a function not returning any data, void. If a function returning any data, you must specify the return type. Previously, we have observed this function returning C, which is an integer. I have used int. If the function returning a string, here I have to use string. If the function returning a Boolean value, here I have to use Boolean. If my function not returning any data, in place of int, I go for void. So for example, I don't have this return. Here you must specify void. You observe that? If a function returning any data, then you have to mention the return type. In this scenario, return type is an integer. Then your function name. Function name, nothing but the method name. And there is a guideline I given to you while giving a class name. Class name must start with capital letter. Method name, you start with the lowercase value. Highlight some method with some character with the uppercase. Then the curly braces. It's nothing but the method body, or can be called as a function body. Then here you can write your code. Statement one, some statement, whatever it may be, some actions. Statement two, and so on. Statement n. If a function returning any data, then we have to mention the return type. Return the value you want to return, value to be returned. So this is the syntax of creating a function. Well, now here, these functions, nothing but methods, are of two types. Static method non-static method. If I want to make the method as static, then I have to use the keyword static. If I want to make my method as non-static, I no need to use this keyword static. Okay. We'll talk about static and non-static in detail. So what is the difference between static and non-static? Here, let me explain the basic comparisons between static and non-static. To explain this, now to show you the comparisons, I'm just properly documenting it. There are major 4 comparisons between static and non-static. Let me give you the first comparison. The first comparison I will give syntax-wise. Here I'm explaining static method versus non-static method. The first comparison I'm giving syntax-wise. Coming to syntax, static method, right? I'll give some notes also here itself. A static method preceded with static keyword. Just a minute. The first comparison, a static method preceded with static keyword. In non-static method, do not preceded with the static keyword. A static method preceded with static keyword. A non-static method do not contain the static keyword. For example, the syntax will go like this. Static void the method name. So this is the first comparison here. A static method preceded with static keyword like this. A non-static method do not precede with static keyword. For example, no static keyword here, just void method name. So this is the syntax. Syntax-wise, I given the comparison first. Okay, here we are using static keyword, no static keyword for the non-static method. This is the first comparison. And the second comparison. In the second comparison, I'm giving when to go for static and when to go for non-static. When to go for static and when to go for non-static. Okay. Better as we are testers, let me explain in testing point of view, when to go for static and when to go for non-static. See here, I want to test various applications like Gmail, Facebook, Google, IRCTC. For testing any application, what is the first step? What is the first action we have to perform? See, I want to test some features of the Gmail. Next time I may test some features of the Facebook,
URL.
IRCTC, some other application. So what is the very first step generally we do? We invoke a browser, then we access a URL, correct? We access a URL. Oh, here, I want to create a function to invoke my application under test. I want to create a function to invoke my application under test. Okay. I don't mention static or non-static. You have to tell me first. I will explain something. Void my method name launch application, my function name launch application. It needs input argument URL. While calling the function launch app, we supply the URL. Tester supply the URL. Here I write some Selenium code open browser, any browser it can be. Then I write some Selenium code to navigate to given URL. Right. So first I write some Selenium code to invoke a browser. I write some Selenium code to navigate to the specified URL. Now this function launch app, whenever I'm calling the function launch app, I supply the URL. Whatever the URL I supply, that application will be invoked on a particular browser. My question, this is static or non-static, you tell me. You want me to make it as static or you want me to make it as non-static? You answer me so that I'll get your understanding level. Static, non-static. Few people are answering, very few people are answering non-static. Non-static. See, very clear, everybody. In the name, in the non-static, here itself very clear. Non-static meaning not static, right? But it is common for all. It is static for all, constant for all. Any application, maybe you want to open Facebook application, I supply Facebook application URL. This logic is same. This logic is constant. If I supply Google application, my code will open the Google application. If I give Premise Bank application URL, this code will open the Premise Bank application. If I give some other IRCTC application URL, the same code, constant code, static code, this will access the IRCTC application. This is a common function to invoke any kind of given URL. I'm creating a function to open any application based on the URL I am giving. So hence it should be of type static. Few people have answered, Sudha, Lakshman, non-static. You agree with me? We have created a function. I just supply the URL. This code I am not going to change. Only I supply the URL. Based on the URL I supply, the corresponding application will be invoked. This code is constant. So this kind of function should be of type static. See, input data may definitely vary from application to application. We have to focus on the code part I'm talking about, the logic action part. Action part is constant for this launch application, irrespective of the URL we are giving. Hence, this kind of function, we have to make it as static. Okay. So now I want to create a function to delete my browser cookies. I want to create a function to delete my browser cookies. I'm not mentioning static or non-static. Void delete cookies is my function name. Here I'm going to write some Selenium code to delete my browser cookies, whatever the browser invoke. Here, first I'll write the code, open the browser. Then I'll write the code to delete the browser cookies. Right. Now you just analyze and answer me. You want me to make it as static or non-static? Why few people have answered non-static? There's a reason for any reason for that? Delete the cookies, invoke a browser, and delete the browser cookies. Any browser, delete the browser cookies. That's it. Delete the browser cookies. This operation will not vary from browser to browser. Every browser has the option deleting the cookies. So definitely this should be also of type static. Same code will delete my browser cookies. This can be made as static. Similarly, I want to create a function to close the browser, whatever available. Close the browser. Here, void close browser or close application, whatever. Either close browser or close application. Here I'm going to write some Selenium code to close the browser. This is static or non-static, you tell me. This method, close application. So here we are going to write the code to close the browser. Any browser, whatever the browser available in my desktop, this code will close the open browser. So definitely should be of type static. Right. Now, I want to create a function for or to check new employee registration in RNHRM project. I want to create a function to verify new employee registration working or not in the RNHRM application. Static or non-static. My function name, add employee, I show in the application. So here, in this RNHRM application, here I have a functionality new employee registration. I have a functionality new employee registration, adding an employee. Here I write some Selenium code, enter first name, middle name, last name, click save button, test whether the add employee functionality working or not. This is the code I am going to write. Here, I'll write Selenium code to enter first name. Then some Selenium code to enter last name. The Selenium code to verify, to click save button. See, Selenium is a API designed to interact with the web pages, not Java. So Selenium will interact with your application under test, entering a username, entering a password, or entering first name, entering last name, clicking save button. All Selenium will do. Conditional statement, looping statement will Java or Python we can use. Anyhow, and here some Selenium code. This code we have to learn how to write a Selenium code to check new employee registered successfully or not. We have to write some code to verify employee registration functionality working or not. Well, finally here, the input arguments are first name one input argument, last name other input argument. Finally here, I create some function to check employee registration functionality working or not. You want me to make it a static or non-static? See, this launch application code, this is a generic code. I can use to invoke Facebook application. I can use this function, launch application, to invoke Facebook application. I can use the same launch application to invoke Google application, IRCTC application. I can use this function close application to close any browser open in my desktop. It can be Facebook or RIHRM or Primus Bank or something else. My question, can I use this function in Facebook? Can I use this function in Facebook application? Yes or no? No. Because in Facebook application, we don't have add employee functionality. Okay. Can I use this function in Gmail application? These kind of functions should be of type, see in the name itself very clear, non-static, meaning not static, not constant, not common for all applications. Here, launch application I can use for launching any application. Close application I can use to close any kind of application, whereas this function will work, I can use only in the Orange HRM, not static for all, not common for all. These kind of functions should be of type non-static. I hope you understood now. A function you created specific to a particular application, particular object. A function defined for a particular application on a particular object should be of type non-static. A function you have created which you can access commonly in any application under test, that should be of type static. Similarly, I want to create a function for money transfer in a banking application. My function name, say for example, void money transfer. So minimum input arguments required for this money transfer, string, account number, double the amount you want to transfer. And here we write the logic, business logic. Nothing but the code. Business logic, nothing but the code. Don't get confused. Business logic, nothing but the code. Well, you want me to make it a static or non-static? You answer me. I want to create a function to do money transfer in a banking product as a programmer. Supposing I am a programmer, I want to define a function to do money transfer. Why still people are saying static? I didn't understand. Is the money transfer functionality available in Gmail application? Does the money transfer functionality available in Facebook application? LKG students will answer this question. I'm repetitively saying that a function which can be used on any application should be of type static. A function you have created specific to a particular application, not, see, if you have the understand the English term non-static, what is the meaning? I no need to truly explain this. In the name itself very clear, non-static. Non-static meaning not common for all, static, constant for all, non-static, not common for all. Simple. Your application related functions should be of type non-static. To have better understanding, let me show you the functions which I have already created in my previous classroom trainings. I'll open some of the workspace. Okay. Selenium 10 o'clock batch, or sorry, and some other batch, Selenium 11:30. Okay. The database has many things we have to learn. Well, I'll do one thing. I'll import this project or an HRM hybrid, whatever, into our current workspace so that you will have better understanding. What I will do here, you can import any existing Java project. I'm importing that Orange HRM project. What kind of project? Existing Java projects into workspace. I browse the location. In this working folder, And here we have RNA hybrid something. This is how we have to develop the code down the line. In our training, we have to learn all this stuff. Okay. Here, you please observe. In my previous example, I created like package 1, package 2, package 3, right? Because we are at beginning, I given the name like package 1, package 2, package 3, something like that. You please do observe here. I have utils, something like this, utils, utilities, utility functions, utility methods. Here, I created a Java class with the name Excel utils. Are you observing the name here? Excel utils. I just opened the Java class. So this is not available in Java or somewhere. We have to create the code like this. Down the line, we'll create the code like this. We have to learn this for data-driven testing. I created a Java class with the name Excel utils. And here I created a function get row count. The input arguments Excel file path and Excel sheet name. You keenly observe the function name. Get row count is my function. Get row count. Yes, what is the purpose of this function? To count the number of rows in an Excel sheet. Correct? To count the number of rows in an Excel sheet, I created a generic function. The input arguments to this function get row count. First, I supply the Excel file location. Then you know one Excel file will have multiple sheets, right? Second argument, Excel sheet name. Don't worry about this code now. You cannot understand this code. I have to teach all these topics to you. This code I'm talking about, how to count the number of rows in a sheet, we'll discuss down the line. And here I created some code to count the number of rows in the given sheet of the given Excel file. Finally, it will return the row count. I made it as static. I made this function as static. You tell me why I made this function as static. Definitely input file may change. See, input data definitely may vary, but this code will not change. This code is a constant code which return number of rows in the given sheet of the given Excel file. Hence, I made it as static. This function not specific to RNHRM. This code is not specific to Primus Bank, and even this code not specific to any other application. Any Excel file, any Excel sheet name you supply, we just supply a Excel sheet name, Excel file path, automatically it will count the number of rows available in the given sheet or the given Excel file and return. Hence, I made it as static. Similarly, here I created one more function to count the number of columns. It is also static because this function also not specific to any particular application, any particular Excel file. Any Excel file we can use it. We can use this code for any Excel file. I created a function to read the data from Excel file, guest in cell data. I created a function to write the data, set cell data. I created a function to fill the colors. These functions I can use for any Excel file. Hence, I made all these functions as static. Whereas here I have, you observe there is one more package I created here, rnhrm.library. You do observe, I was not given the name like rnhrm.utils. I given the name utils because these utils I can use in any project. These constants I can use in any project. But this, why the name of the package rnhrm.library? Because whatever the classes available here, these classes will work only for RNHRM project, not for other projects. So the functions specific to the particular application. Here I have add employee function. Here I have some Selenium code. Enter your first name, enter last name, click save button and verify that add employee functionality working or not. This function I made it as non-static. Why? The same project, we have observed there is a function of type static. Here I have a function of type non-static. You tell me why I made this function as non-static. Because this function will work only for RNHRM application. See, all classes or all objects belongs to RNHRM application of type non-static. I cannot use this function in other applications. Whereas the Excel util simply I can copy into other project and I use it. As simple it is. This Excel utils class I can copy, I can paste in some other project. Here you just observe that. I can paste in some other project, I can use it. I can paste here, I can use it. Because that class or the methods are not created for a particular application. Such kind of function should be of type static. So the second comparison, I am coming back to second comparison. Functions, or I can say methods. Methods created for a better, I'll go like this. Common utilities like invoke browser, close browser, read data from Excel, write data into Excel, etc. should be of type static. Common utility functions. Okay. Common utility function like invoking a browser, closing a browser, read data from Excel, write data to Excel. Such kind of common utility should be of type static. Methods created for a specific object should be of type non-static. The methods created for a particular application, for a particular object should be of type non-static. For example, add employee or some function in a calculator. See, some function previously what I have created or subtract function what I have created will work only on the calculator, not in the other objects. Agree? Simple. Sum and subtract whatever you have created earlier will work only on the calculator object, not on the employee object, not on the car object. In the car object, we have sum and subtract. No, right? In the car object, we don't have sum and subtract. Sum subtract will work only for calculator application. The functions you have created for a specific application should be of type non-static. Got it? Right. Now the third comparison. Here the last third comparison I'm giving that when to go for static and when to go for non-static. Oh, sorry, I already explained how to call the static method and how to call the non-static method. A static method can be called, I'm explaining here, usage of or calling the function. A static method can be called with the reference of the class name. With the reference of the class name dot method name. A non-static function can be called by creating instance nothing but object, by creating object for the class. A static function can be called by reference of the class name dot method name. The syntax will go like this: class name dot method name. Here I'll give a static method can be called like this: class name dot method name. If you want to call a non-static method, we must create an object for the class. How to create an object? Previous also we have created some objects. Class name, object reference or object name equal to new class name. See, previously we were explaining array list or linked list. We have created object for the array list and linked list and accessing the methods. Then the object name dot method name. So this is a way of calling a static method. Class name dot method name, you no need to create an object for the class. If you want to call a non-static method, you have to create an object for the class. Because when you create an object, non-static methods will be loaded into the heap memory. The heap memory references this object name what you are giving. New will allocate some reserve some space in the heap memory. All non-static methods of the class will be loaded into the heap memory. The heap memory references this object name. Referring the object name, we have to access the methods. Right. There's one more comparison I'll write, and while creating the methods, we'll observe that. And we have to remember another point that a static method can access only other static members of the class. A static method can access only other static members of the class. The last here, a non-static method can access both static and non-static members of the class. A static method can access both static and non-static members of the class. Here we'll understand this. Let me go back to the previous one. Just I'll remove it only for your understanding. I put this. I delete from the here. Here you please observe here. This is a. I'll do one thing. You clearly observe the sum method. I make it as static. You clearly observe it is showing some errors here. It is showing some errors here. Why? Just now I said a static method can access only A, B, C or static or non-static type. Non-static because there is no static keyword here. Now I'm giving static keyword. A static method can access only other static members of the class. See, now subtract is a non-static method. This non-static method will access both static and non-static. Supposing here, I'm declaring one more variable, D. This ABC are of type static variable. D is a non-static variable. Here, I'm just accessing the D. See, you can access. Whereas this D you cannot access here. You please observe again, it is showing error here. Cannot make the static reference to the non-static field. A static method can access only other static members of the class, whereas a non-static method can access both static and non-static members of the class. That is the last difference here. Okay? Right. So now I hope I just given a little extension to my previous session. Here I remove this. Okay. In this scenario, definitely some should be of type static. This is not required. It's also not required. Okay. Right. Well, just I given a little extension to our previous session. Only once again creating a function, and when to go for static and when to go for non-static I have explained, and what is a local variable and what is a global variable I have explained. And in this today's session, majorly we have learned three major points. What is a local variable and what is a global variable? If a variable declared inside a method, it is called local variable. If a variable declared at class level, they are called local variables. Done. And when to go for static and when to go for non-static method. And again, syntax of the methods we have discussed. And how to call the static and how to call the non-static. A static method can be called by reference of the class name dot method name. A non-static method can be called by creating a object for the class. For today, I stop here, and tomorrow I teach you again how to call a static method, how to call a non-static method in detail, how to use a static method, how to call a non-static method we'll discuss in detail. Then I proceed with the next topic like method overloading and inheritance kind of concept. Okay. For today, I stop here. We continue tomorrow. Thank you.